Hello and welcome. My name is Sue and today we're doing a yoga class with the peak pose being compass pose. So that means a lot of stretches for the hips, hamstrings, and also side stretches, side body. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started in a comfortable seated position. So just easy pose, one shin in front of the other. Close your eyes. I'll start off with 3 deep breaths. A deep inhale. Exhale. Slow it down. Breathe in, lungs expand fully. Exhale to soften shoulders, face. Relax your limbs. One more time. Inhale. Full inhale. Lungs expanding fully. And exhale. Okay. All right. Gently open your eyes and welcome. So we'll start off with a side stretch. Place your right hand on the ground. Take your left hand, reach it up and over. Great stretch the side body. Expand a little bit more. Turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. Press that left hip down onto the mat. Inhale, come on back up. Take that left hand and cup the right ear and draw the left ear towards the left shoulder. So you just want to feel the stretch the right neck. Walk that right hand away from the body if you could use a little bit more than that. One more deep breath. And turn your gaze down to the opposite knee. So to the left knee. Tuck your chin in slightly. Stretch the back of the neck. Yeah, release that. Left hand on the ground. Right hand reaches up and over. Get a side stretch. Press that right hip down. Turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. And let's get the next stretch. Bring the right hand to the left ear, opposite here, and gently draw that right ear towards your right shoulder. A little bit more. Walk that left hand away from the body. And then rotate the chin down, tuck it slightly, turn your gaze to the right knee. One more deep breath like that. And then back to the middle. Roll your shoulders up towards the ears and squeeze those shoulder blades together as you roll your shoulders down and back. 2 more. One more. Squeeze tightly as you draw the shoulders back and down. Good. All right, let's come on into a tabletop position. Come down to your hands and knees. Curl your toes under, walk your hands forward, and draw the hips back. Let the chest melt down. You might want to adjust a little bit more if you can't quite feel the stretch at the front of the underarm into the upper chest. Walk the knees back a little. Keep the hips up high. Continue to melt the chest down and forward. Press strongly into those hands, active arms. Take it into a side stretch here. Hips are still high. Walk your hands over to one side. Let the head drop. Keep the hips up high. Keep breathing here. Back to the middle. And same thing on the other side. Walk it over to the other side. Let the head drop. Hips are high. Find a little bit more softness in the face. Deepen your breathing. Come on back to the center. Back to tabletop position. Take it into downward facing dog. So curl your toes under. Send the hips up and back. Down dog. And rise up onto your tiptoes and bend both knees. Belly towards the thighs. And as you exhale, straighten one leg. Press that heel down towards the mat. Other knees bend. Press strongly down into those hands, fingertips, thumbs, and index fingers. And switch to the other side. Bend the other knee. Straighten the other leg. Keep the hips up high. Downward facing dog. Both legs a little straighter. Those heels reaching down towards the mat. Nice and strong. Right, in your down dog, shift the weight to the left leg and lift the right leg up high. 3-legged dog. And spread those toes. Lean a little bit more into the left leg. One more deep breath. And lower the right foot back down onto the mat. And then same thing on the other side. Lift that left leg, stretch that left leg up high, lean a little into the right leg and spread the left toes. Come back into downward facing dog. Both legs are straight, those heels reaching down towards the mat. Send your gaze up in between the hands and walk your feet to the top of the mat to come into forward fold. A little soft in the back of the legs, knees can be slightly bent. Let the upper body relax forward. After a few breaths, maybe a little bit more limber to the back of the leg so you can start to straighten it. Press the hips up nice and high and then let the head drop a little bit more. A couple more deep breaths here. Coming out of this pose, bend your knees all the way back up to standing. All the way up to standing. Alright, so with your feet still about hips width apart, take your arms up and over and grab a hold of the left wrist with the right hand and lean over to the opposite side. So lean over to the right side, turn your gaze up. Extend that left hand away to the opposite side. Spread the fingers, make that arm active. Keep the breath flowing. You want to take those deep breaths, slow exhales. And inhale, come on back to the center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Grab a hold of that right wrist, extend, and over to the left side. Turn your gaze up slightly. Just looking for that edge. You want to be able to challenge yourself a little, find a little bit more space. Inhale, come on back to the center and then release and fold. Come into forward bend. Pull onto the back of the legs. Take an inhale to lift up slightly. You want to bend the knees and place your belly on the thighs. And as you exhale, do your best to straighten the legs. They may or may not straighten, but try to keep the belly connected towards the thighs. And then inhale, lift up slightly. Look forward. Flatten out the back belly towards the thighs. And then fold again. Doing your best to straighten the legs, and don't worry if it doesn't straighten. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold once again. Stay here. Soften a little, lift up slightly if you have to, but just keep holding on to the legs. A couple more deep breaths. Place your hands on the mat. Step the left foot back for warrior one, turning the heel down, and come on up into a warrior one. Okay, if you have to adjust until that front knee is over the front ankle and your chest is facing forward, you can either gaze straight ahead or in between the hands. Keep that back leg strong and connected. Relax your shoulders. Take a couple more deep breaths. Open up into a warrior two. Adjust that back foot. Don't let that front knee collapse in. Extend those arms away from one another and then relax the shoulders. Soft gaze over your right fingertips. One more deep breath. Move into triangle. Straighten the front leg. Bring that right hand down towards the right knee, shin or ankle. Okay, and then reach the other hand up towards the ceiling. Try to keep a straight line. Press that left shoulder back a little, left hip back a little so that your body is in that single plane, in that one line. One more deep breath. And inhale, lift back up to center, back to the middle. Pivot the front toe, right toe, so that both toes are pointing towards the same side of the mat. You can come right into forward bend, or if it's okay for you to interlace fingers behind your back, do so. You're going to press those shoulder blades in close to one another and then fold forward. Keep the hips up high, legs are straight. Press the hands away from the body. Relax the neck, the face, and breathe. One more deep breath here. Release the hands down onto the ground and reach the right hand to the opposite leg. Okay, so right hand to the opposite leg. And as you do so, try to get that left shoulder up a little higher, and maybe you can extend that left hand up towards the ceiling. If you want, you can also bring that arm across the low back and look for the opposite thigh. Okay, don't worry if that's not happening right now. You can extend that hand straight up towards the ceiling, or just an arm across the low back. Okay, and then we'll switch sides, release, and switch to the other side. Again, all those options. Again, you want to just try to get the chest facing the opposite side. Okay, you want to make sure that right shoulder is higher than the left, and then you take those options. Right hand up towards the ceiling, or right arm across the low back, looking for the opposite thigh. Spin open a little bit more. And then release, coming back into a forward bend. Soften. One more deep breath. Hands on your waist. Inhale, come on all the way back up to standing. You're doing warrior one on the other side. So left foot's forward this time. Right foot is down on the mat behind you. So press into that back edge of the foot. Rotate your chest forward and reach your arms up and over. Warrior one. Open up into a warrior two. You might have to switch that back, move that back foot slightly. Press those thighs away from one another. Shoulders relaxed, arms extended strongly. And coming into a triangle pose on this side. You've got that right hand down, left hand up. And keep working to press that left side of the body open, or the top side of the body open. Okay, one more deep breath here. Next inhale, lift all the way back up to standing. Pivot the back toe forward, so you've got the both toes pointing towards the same side. And then again, we're going to pivot both heels inwards, so that the toes are pointed towards the edges of the mat. Okay, and you want to make sure that the knees and the toes are pointed in the same direction. If not, adjust the feet. Hands on your thighs. Sink in. Allow the knees to be somewhat over the ankles. So again, adjust until that happens. Relax the shoulders. Try to straighten your arms a little, maybe pressing the thighs away from one another. All right. Take one more deep breath. Let the right shoulder drop, pressing the right hand into your right thigh. So you want to push a little, and if possible, straighten the right arm, but don't worry if you can't get that straightened all the way. You just want to be able to push slightly, exert a little bit of pressure into that right thigh. Inhale, come on back to the center, and then do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, come on back to the middle, straighten those legs and pivot those heels back out, and coming back into a forward bend. Grab a hold of your big toes, your ankles, or your calves, whatever's available to you. Another inhale to lift up halfway, and an exhale, keep the spine long. Use a little bit of your arm strength to draw yourself forward. Press the hips up high, let the elbows point outwards towards the edges of the mat. Slow down your breath, let the head hang a little. If your head touches the ground, just bring the feet in a little closer. You want to let the head hang. A couple more deep breaths. All right, come on back up and walk your way over to the top of the mat. Come into runner's lunge. All right, if your mat's a little thin, you can roll the mat under and make sure that you give that back knee a little cushioning. Okay. Make sure the left knee is at least slightly behind the hips because you want to stretch out that hip flexor, the front of that left hip. Keep pressing the hips down and forward. You can stay right here or make your way up into a lunge. So as you do this, you keep pressing the hips down and forward, but also allow the shoulders to relax and peel the belly off the front thigh. Maybe turning your gaze up towards the ceiling as well will help. All right, with each exhale, press the hips down a little bit more. One more deep breath. Okay, and then release the hands down onto the floor. Walk your hands back towards the hips, straightening the front leg, coming into a half split. So if you find that the floor is quite too far away from the floor for you, have a couple of blocks here or lift yourself a little higher, maybe hands on the waist. So this will be great as well for those of you who can bring your hands down onto the ground. Okay, peel the toes off the mat, the right toes pointed towards your forehead. If you're able to wrap your right hand around your foot and pull that foot in a little, do that. We're going to stay here a couple more deep breaths at least. Okay, and then we'll release that, coming back into downward facing dog. Take it back. Downward dog, give that little bit of movement, pedal out the feet, shift the hips around. Take the right leg and stretch it up high. Bend the right knee and point that knee towards the ceiling. Try to keep that right heel towards your hips. Turn your gaze under the right arm even. Open up a little bit more. One more deep breath. And then come on back into downward facing dog. Switch that around. Take the left leg, stretch it up high. Bend the left knee. Point that knee towards the ceiling. Kick that left heel towards your hips. Point that knee up a little higher. Turn your gaze under the left arm even. Good. And then level off the hips. Bring both feet down onto the mat. Give that little bit of movement. Pedal out the feet. Then step the left foot forward. Come into your runner's lunge. Lower the back knee down onto the mat. Point the back toe. Again, make sure that right knee is at least slightly behind the hips and the front knee is stacked over the ankle. Stay here or place your hands on the front thigh. Keep pressing those hips down and forward. Lift your gaze. Turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. Lift your chin up slightly. With each exhale, a little bit more pressure. Always seeking that edge. Just get you a little deeper into this pose. Okay, one more. Okay, let's make our way into that half split. Walk your hands back a little towards your hips. Point the toes, left toes up towards the ceiling. Long spine. Try folding over the extended leg and use your props here if you need it. And if you want a little bit more, you can take that left hand, gently pull the left toes towards your forehead. One more deep breath here. Okay, let's make our way back. Downward facing dog. Okay. A little bit of movement in down dog. Pedaling out the feet. Okay. We'll take the right leg and stretch it up and back. And place the right foot to the outside of the right hand, coming into lizard pose. Okay. Squeeze that right knee in towards your right shoulder. Let the hips sink a little. If you can, that back knee is still off the mat. Back leg is still strong. Two more deep breaths. Gently lower the back knee down into the mat and let that right knee open up slightly, a little bit. Get that hip stretch here, maybe coming down to your forearms. If that's not possible, stay on your hands or make any modifications with props. Okay. So you will keep working that right knee open without shifting the hips too much. Try to keep the hips square to the ground. Don't forget to breathe here. Okay, one more deep breath. All right, make your way back up, and then here you want to come into gate pose. So lower that right knee down into the ground, careful as you come into gate pose. So we want to stack the hips over that right knee still, and your left leg extended out. Okay, so if you can, foot down here will be great, and slide that left hand down the left leg, reach that right arm, reach it over, get a side stretch. Turn your gaze up. And your hips really want to shift over to the left side. So just be careful here. You want to try to keep it somewhat over the hips. Do one more deep breath. And inhale, come on back up. And just bring that right hand down into the ground and do this opposite side. Stretch that left hand over. Reach that left hand towards the ground as best as you can without bending the extended arm, without bending that right arm. Good, one more deep breath. Okay, coming back into downward facing dog here, take it back. Give that little bit of movement, pedal out the feet. And then we'll step that left foot out to the outside of that left hand. If you can, you keep that right leg off the ground, right knee off the ground. You squeeze that left knee into the left shoulder, let the hips sink a little. Couple more deep breaths. And move into Gecko pose. Point the lower the back knee down onto the ground, point the back toe, and then let that left knee open up. Make sure the twist is coming from the hips and not the ankle. Okay, so we're going to press that knee open. You can come down to your forearms if that serves you. Good. And then come on back up, and from here we transfer into gate pose. So lowering that left knee down into the ground, and you've got your right leg stretched out. Okay. If you can, turn the foot down so that the feet is flat on that right foot is flat on the ground. And you want to make sure that the hip is over the knee, that left knee. Slide that right hand down the right leg, and reach your left hand up and over. Turn your gaze up, and then breathe. So again, your hips will want to shift over to that right leg. So try to keep the hips over the heel, over the knee, over the left knee. And then go for that side stretch. Look for a little bit more. One more. Okay, and then inhale to come back up. Lower that right hand down to the ground, left hand down onto the ground, and then right hand reaching up and over. So reverse that stretch. Keep reaching that right hand towards the ground without bending the left arm. Good, and then come on back up. Back into downward facing dog. Give that a little bit of movement. Alright, and then lower the knees down onto the ground. And if you come on down and grab a seat here, and then take the left foot and tuck it in Hero's Pose. A foot in. And if this hurts you, then head to knee pose, a half cobblers pose instead. Okay, so Hero's Pose. If you can, left foot in, foot close to the body, and toes pointed straight back. So you want to keep the knees in line with one another. So as you come here, as you're seated here, make sure the hips are level to the ground, and slide your right foot in. bending the right knee. Okay? Lean slightly back, belly in, and see if you can straighten that right leg. So you hold on to whatever's available to you, whether it's the calf, the ankle, or your foot. And then again, belly in, lift the chest, turn your gaze up slightly, and breathe. Try to bring that foot a little closer towards the body. Good, one more deep breath. And then release, lower that right foot down onto the mat. And then if you're in half heroes, try to create maximum distance between the knees. Okay, coming into a side stretch. So take the right hand, slide it along the inside of the right leg, and then press that left shoulder open. Good. And keep reaching, keep bringing that right side of the body a little closer towards the right leg. And then take your left hand, reach it up and over, and grab a hold of that foot. Okay, and if you can't grab a hold of that foot, use your strap. Wrap a loop around that right leg and then hold onto the strap with your left. And then try to turn your gaze slightly upwards, so to peek under that left arm. For a little bit more, you can reach the bottom hand over to the opposite leg. Maybe that allows you to twist just a little bit more. At the same time, push with your right foot into your right hand if you've got the bind. Create just a little bit more space to the left side of the body. Two more deep breaths. Good, and then release, unwind that. Come on back up to seat. Stretch both legs out and give that a little bit of movement. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Coming into half hero's pose with the right foot tucked in. Again, try to keep those hips level to the ground. Slide that left foot in, keeping that knee pointed up towards the ceiling. And belly in, sit tall. And then do your best to straighten the left leg. Straps here if you need them. Hands behind the calf is fine too. But if you can, work your hands up that leg and then pushing that left foot into your hands. Okay. Keep breathing. And then with each exhale, maybe that foot can come a little closer towards the body. The leg closer towards the body. A smaller V. Okay, one more deep breath. And then we'll release, lower that left foot down to the ground. And into the half hero, sliding that right knee away from the left, creating, again, good distance, coming into a version of your revolve head to knee pose. So with the right knee in heroes. Okay, so again, we're looking for that left foot with the right hand. I'm just trying to bring that left shoulder to the inside of the left knee. Okay, so we're looking for that twist. Push that left foot into that right hand to create a little bit more space to the right side of the body. And then if you need more, you can take that left hand to the opposite side. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me. Take one more deep breath here. And then release and come on back up to seated. Lean over to one side so you can swing both legs forward and just give that little bit of movement, some intuitive movement. And we're going to try to come into our compass pose. So we'll start off with the left foot tucking close to the body, and we're going to take the compass pose into the right leg into compass pose. But before we do that, we're going to rock the baby. Okay, so bring your right foot to the crook of your left elbow, and then the knee to the crook of your right. Interlace the fingers, and then very gently rock side to side. So you're trying to warm up that hip joint a little bit more, loosen it up, maybe in a circle. Okay. Good. It's a little bit more of a stretch for the hips. Okay. Now, if you can, we'll place that left foot down on the ground, but we're trying to bring the shoulder under the right shoulder under the right knee. Okay, so we'll lift the right foot up slightly, and as though you're putting on a backpack, see if you can hook the right knee behind your shoulder. If that's not going to happen today, look for the tricep instead. Okay, look for the tricep instead. Right hand comes down onto the ground, bracing. Okay. Left hand holds onto the outside of the right foot, and then you're going to try to bring your head into that loop that you've created. And as you do so, straighten that left leg and turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. So we've done all the warm up for this one. Of course, if that's not going to happen today, you can use a strap here and practice with that strap. So stay here for a few more breaths. Good, one more. For a little bit more space. And then release. And we'll try the other side. Okay, for the left side, let's do that cradling. Rock the baby. So again, we're trying to loosen up the hips a little, rocking side to side, very careful. Okay. And bring that foot a little closer. Circular movement. Okay, and for this side, I'm going to use a strap so you can see what I mean if you need a strap with this one. Okay. So you're going to bring the strap around that left foot and do your best to bring that knee to the back of your left shoulder. Again, if that's not happening today, a close approximation will do. Then you straighten your left arm and brace strong with the left arm, and then hold on to the strap and then take a peek between that hole that you've made, and then do your very best to straighten that left leg. So as you do that, you can walk your hands down the strap, turn your gaze up. Okay, engage that left leg, press the foot away from the body, pivot the shoulder open a little bit more, turn your gaze up towards the ceiling, breathe. Good, one more deep breath. Okay, and then release carefully and coming back up to seated. So you can practice that a little bit more, especially now that you're a little warmer. You can do that one more time on each side, just on your own. Pause the video. If not, we're going to start to cool down. And coming into just a comfortable seated position, allow your shoulders to relax, close your eyes. And then turn your gaze over to one shoulder, rotate the chin down towards the chest, and then to the other side. And then back, drawing those semicircles. Okay, and then one full circle, stretching out the front of the neck in one direction, and then switching. Good. And then back to the middle. Bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees open up. A little bit of distance between the feet and the hips, more like a diamond shape. And then inhale to lift and lengthen, and exhale to fold. Maybe placing the forehead on your feet. If that's not happening today, grab a hold of a block and do that. Place your head on the block instead. Okay, and if that's still not happening, you have your hands behind you and just pushing your chest forward a little bit more. Find a little bit more softness here. Good. Good. Inhale, come on back up to seated. And then coming down onto your back for bridge pose. So onto your back, feet about hips width apart. Press down into the feet to lift the hips off the mat. And if you want a little bit more, interlace the fingers behind, underneath the hips. Press down into the floor to lift the hips up a little higher. Try to create parallel thighs, okay, in line with one another. Two more deep breaths. And release the hands and roll the spine all the way down onto the ground, one vertebrae at a time. And coming into a happy baby pose, knees a little wider to frame the ribs. And grab a hold of the insides of the soles of your feet, or whatever else available to you. Okay. Push strongly the feet into the hands, and then pull strongly with the hands into the feet. Keep the tailbone down onto the mat. And use your right hand to pull strongly into the left foot, to sway slightly towards the left, and then pull strongly into the right. And then just a couple more times like this. Alright, and then back to the middle, back to the center. Release your feet down into the ground. Now let's come into a spinal twist, bumping your hips over to the right side and knees to the left. And take your variations here, stacking your knees. You can cross one knee over the other, or even place a prop under the knees. So we've got the spinal twist. Turning your gaze away from the knees here will help to complete the twist. And then come on back to the center, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Bumping the hips towards the left side, and taking your modifications, letting the knees drop to the right. And stack the knees, wrap one knee over the other, see if that makes a difference for you. And turn your gaze away from the knees. And then come on back to the center, back to the middle. Make sure the hips are centered. If you're leaving us here now, thank you very much for joining us. For those of you who are joining me in Shavasana, you're going to make yourselves comfortable. Make sure you are nice and warm. Whatever props you need to gather right now, do so that you are comfortable. And then take up space on your mat, spread out, close your eyes. Make sure the body's spread out evenly. And then with your calm, relaxed body and calm, relaxed mind, enjoy your Shavasana. Enjoy peace. Slowly make your way back onto your mat and taking your little movements to awaken the body. Bring sensations back. And then a big stretch. Reach from toes to fingertips, a nice long stretch. And then release that. Good. A little bit of a roll out. And then you can slowly take your time to make your way back up to seated. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that was fun. Namaste.